Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's web seminar using Lightning Intelligence for continuous Saas identity security assessment. I'll do some quick introductions while we wait for people to join the platform. Really good to see you all here today, and we're very excited to show you Lightning Intelligence and all it can offer for staying on top of the security vulnerabilities in both your AD and Entra ID environments. So my name's Michelle Crockett. I am head up the product marketing team here at Semperis. I have with me today Tammy Mindel, who's the Lightning Intelligence product manager. She is also the product manager for Purple Knight. So she has been on that journey with probably most of you who might currently be Purple Knight users as well. In addition, today we have James Ravenel, who is a senior solutions architect, and he has been focused recently on doing demos and showing the Lightning Intelligence solution to our current Purple Knight users and other customers who want to move from that point in time assessment to continuous assessment. So today we're going to talk about the challenges in securing identity systems, which most of you are probably familiar with, but we'll just give an overview of some of the things that are coming up and what we're trying to address, what we focused on, especially in the last year to help you all deal with the constant attacks that target identity systems. We'll spend a little bit of time on the history of Purple Knight, just to give those who are not familiar with it some background. It was built in Semperis by Semperis in 2021, and it helps in identify and remediate vulnerabilities. As I mentioned, it's a standalone utility. The security indicators in Purple Knight were developed by our threat intelligence research team. And then we're going to talk about Lightning Intelligence for continuous monitoring. So again, moving away from that point in time assessment to more ongoing assessments. Tammy will then do a Lightning Intelligence demo of the primary capabilities, and we'll end with a Q&A. We've got a couple of polls along the way too we'd love for you to participate in. So let's get started. So first, our first poll, are you currently a Purple Knight user? So if you could just take a second and answer the poll that you see there. Choices are no, I've never used it. Yes, I've used it a few times. Yes, I use it regularly. So we're just trying to get an idea of how many people are already familiar with Purple Knight, or those who don't have any familiarity at all. And give you a few more seconds. Okay, we'll go ahead and close the poll. So a good number of you are familiar, but some not. So just a little bit of background on Semperis and our focus. We started back in 2014 with recovery for Active Directory, ADFR. And the reason for that is because of the prominence of Active Directory as an attack target by cyber criminals globally. So 80% of all breaches involve credential abuse. That is research that is verified by Microsoft, the Verizon threat research reports, Google, etc. So this is pretty known threat. Systemic weaknesses make AD a soft target. So as everyone here likely knows, AD has been around since the year 2000. It was built to withstand physical threats like, outages based on power failures or things like that. It really wasn't built with cybersecurity in mind. So over time, attackers have targeted the vulnerabilities that have inevitably crept into AD, including just simple misconfigurations that have proliferated over time. And then with the introduction of Entra ID, formerly known as Azure ID, that makes the situation to secure the identity system even more complicated when you have hybrid AD. The zero trust model that people have been talking about for at least a decade assumes hybrid AD integrity. So if your identity system isn't secure, then nothing is secure. So market trends, again, 68% of organizations experienced one or more endpoint attacks that successfully compromised data and or the IT infrastructure. 86% of cyber attacks involve stolen credentials, and 80% of successful breaches are new or unknown zero-day attacks. So lots of ways for cyber criminals to get in, move laterally from on-prem AD to the cloud or vice versa. With that in mind, the Five Eyes group, which includes the Australian Signals Directorate, they led this effort to enumerate some of the new attack techniques that target AD. Purple Night was actually mentioned in that report as one tool organizations can use to identify and remediate those attack vectors. So check out that report if you haven't seen it. It was also signed off by the US CISA and NSA, the Canadian Center for Cybersecurity, and others. So the challenges that we are addressing both with Purple Night and now Lightning Intelligence are continuous configuration drift. So for example, the lack of resources to keep up with misconfigurations, initiatives such as mergers and acquisitions that can open up new challenges. So you've inherited an environment, or you're trying to put two environments together, or consolidate, and that opens up security vulnerabilities as well, or you're looking at different security models that have been applied over time. Limited visibility into changes. So it historically has been very hard to track the security posture progress. If you had a low score, for example, on Purple Night, how do you keep track of your changes over time? And that reactive approach increases risk. So there can be new vulnerabilities that creep in over time. As you're onboarding and offboarding people, settings can change. And then there's compliance concerns. Demonstrating compliance with security regulations is cumbersome, and most organizations struggle with limited resources to keep up with those new requirements. So as those of you who use Purple Night know, our security indicators do map to the MITRE ATT&CK and MITRE DEFEND frameworks, as well as ANSI, which is the French regulations. So for those who are unfamiliar with Purple Night, this is a free tool that we introduced back in 2021. We've got more than 35,000 downloads to date. It includes about 180 plus security indicators across categories, including account security, AD delegation, Entra ID, hybrid AD and Entra ID, and now Okta as well. And we have shown in studies with some of our users that Purple Night can reduce the attack surface by as much as 45%. If you haven't checked out Purple Night, we encourage you to do so. Again, it's a free tool. So now we're going to introduce Lightning Intelligence, which moves us from manual scans to continuous monitoring. This is an easily deployed Saas monitoring solution that works on both AD and Entra ID, includes 180 plus security indicators. It provides support for multi-directory environments, a dashboard for tracking and reporting, and it also offers trend lines over time so that you can understand how your security posture might have changed over time, and that's a weekly change. So I'm going to turn it over to Tammy Mindel, and she's going to walk through, this is a screenshot of the latest dashboard, and you can see there's a multi-directory environment there, and she's going to walk you through some of the capabilities that you see on this screen. And then she'll take you through a quick demo of Lightning Intelligence as well, so we can see it in action. So Tammy, over to you.
Thank you, Michelle. Yeah, so actually, just like you provided the great background on everything that we try to do with Purple Night and how we're evolving that in Lightning. So with Lightning Intelligence, we're bringing the concept of continuous security assessment. So taking it from that one-time snapshot assessment that you used to do with Purple Night to a solution that monitors your environment on a continuous basis and always gives you the most up-to-date picture of your security posture. It also gives you a central visibility for your AD, your Entra environment. Even if you're operating in a multi-directory environment, let's say you have multiple forests, mergers and acquisitions, like Michelle mentioned before, you'll be able to have central visibility across all of them. And it all comes in it's a SaaS solution that's easily deployable, and it gives you a very easy and quick setup. So when we're talking about continuous assessment, what that actually means and the value that it provides is not just about the automation part of it. So it's not just, I used to run Purple Night manually and I had to compare the different reports and now I have something that automates it. There's also an added value in different types of things that the historical data generates from you for you. Things like being able to track your score over time. So we provide a score for your security posture to basically show you where you stand. The higher, the better. The lower means you have a lot of exposures that you need to take care of. And if you're taking time and effort and resources into fixing things, you want to see and you want to track that progress in your score over time, and you want to possibly show that to your management and being able to kind of visualize that better. And you also get to track certain patterns in specific vulnerabilities that repeat themselves over time. Let's say you have an issue, you fixed it, and then a month later it came back. With that historic analysis, you can easily understand that, look into that, and apply some corrective measures. Having a continuous assessment also takes the approach, kind of shifts it from a pull to a push mechanism. So instead of running a scanning tool once every quarter, every month at best, you can be alerted when something is identified, when a new vulnerability is identified in your environment. You can get, let's say, a notification to your email and be aware of that the moment it happens, and not when it's too late and things pile up and things aggregate. So to quickly sum up some of the things that we're going to also see in the demo, Lightning Intelligence takes you kind of one step ahead from the one-time Purple Night tool. It provides both a continuous scheduled assessment and on-demand scanning for indicators of exposure. You get a central dashboard to report on the security posture of your AD and Entra across multiple directories. The deployment especially for AD for your on-prem environment, you just install a collector on a domain join machine. So any machine that's connected to your domain, you install a collector on it, and that is able to send the results to the Lightning Cloud. So it's easy, it's not very privileged, nothing that touches the DC. And you also have the ability in Lightning to kind of fine-tune the findings and make sure your score presentation is really accurate with your environment by flagging certain findings and adding them to an exclusion list. And Lightning exposes also a REST API, so you can integrate it with any third-party tools. And with that, I think let's stop talking and start showing. Let me start sharing and
That's great. Thanks, Tammy.
Sorry?
I said thanks. We're looking forward to diving into the demo. And James, as Tammy's getting this ready, any notes from you as just from your conversations from Purple Night users and what's been most interesting for them that you've seen?
Yeah, sure. I think the most prevalent thing that people appreciate are the trending. The ability to get notifications is huge, and then also the ability to whitelist what we may consider, false positives or things that we're willing to accept a risk on. I come, just so you all know, I come from the customer side as well. I've spent the past 30 plus years being either a sysadmin or AD security engineer, and with that experience, I know that there are times where we're like, I think that's okay. One of the things that comes up a lot nowadays is like the MSOL accounts. If you have your Entra connected to your uh, on-prem AD to do your syncing. So that's one of the things that a lot of our customers will say, you know what, I'm just going to whitelist that, but still have the awareness to run these specific indicators. Tammy will show you more about that as we move along.
Great. Yeah, Tammy, you can go ahead and start the demo.
Yep, I'll about to share. Okay, I'm assuming my screen is on there. Can you see it, Michelle?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. So I'm now logged into my Lightning instance. Obviously, it's a lab environment and not something that's connected to a real environment that represents how a real organization behaves. So some of the things here will look pretty static. I'm in the main dashboard in Lightning in the directory overview page where I can see the different directories that I currently have connected to Lightning. So in this case, I have 3 forests and 3 Entra tenants, each of them represented in this card view. And what we can immediately see is that the high-level security posture insights pop up. Things like the score. So this is the forest that I use for most of my testing and demos. And my score currently is 40%, which is pretty bad. And I can see that that's a result of 61 exposures, out of which 12 are critical, 24 high, and so on. So these are the things that are bringing my score down and represent the highest risk to my environment. And if we look at down here, that is actually a visualization of the changes in my score over time, week by week. That's how frequently we measure that. And we can see that back in February, the score was even worse, down to the 17. And then over time, I took some effort into fixing things. And now it's a bit more, I don't want to say stable because 40 is not stable at all, but it's just showing me how things have changed over time, hopefully towards achievements and progress. Sometimes there is also setbacks. So I can see the same type of information for every directory that I have connected and quickly get an understanding of how I stand with each environment. So let's say I want to focus on this one forest. I really want to improve my security posture. I want to address some of these vulnerabilities. I would typically start with the most critical ones. These are the things that are bringing my score down the most. Let's click on this and see what are those vulnerabilities. So I have here a list of 12 critical findings, 12 critical indicators that have been detected in my environment. Those of you who are familiar with the Purple Knight tool will also probably be familiar with these indicators. We're looking at different things in AD, in different types of categories: account security, delegation, infrastructure security, group policy. I can click just here to expand on every issue and kind of see what this indicator is looking for, what's it checking, what's the likelihood of compromise in case this issue is detected in my environment, and what is the initial basic remediation guidance that I need to be aware of to start attending to this issue. We try to also always reference official guidance, either by Microsoft, NIST, ANSI, that you will see here also included in our description to just provide more context on the issue and help you prepare to address that. For all of the different security indicators, so we call these checks, we call them security indicators. For all of them represented in this view, you can see obviously the severity. In this case, we have filtered just for the critical ones. You can see the current result, IOE found. Obviously in red means bad, means this is an exposure that was detected in my environment. They map to a category. We can see the detected since date. This basically tells me how old is an exposure. So we can see that some of the ones here below are in my environment for over 6 months now. And some of these here are more recent, a bit more recent. So I can understand that these are issues that I'm dragging with me for a long time already. And Michelle mentioned this before, the mapping to the different security frameworks. So we support today MITRE ATT&CK, MITRE DEFEND, and the French ANSI framework. And you can see how these different things map to every indicator. Let's say I want to really understand what are the issues that this indicator detected? How does that look in my environment? How do I fix it? And this is one of my favorite indicators to play with when I do that. privileged users that have a weak password policy. Let's click on it and kind of see a more expanded view. So I just navigated to the general tab where we see that same descriptive information in a bit more expanded form, along with some other things like what is the weight associated with this indicator. The weight would typically map to the severity. So the high weight would represent a critical severity, and the lower ones would be lower severities. The version of the script that's checking for this issue, and the schedule, basically, how often is this indicator running in my environment? This one being a critical one will run once an hour, every hour. And if I go here to run history, I will be able to see all of its historic runs and the results that came back with those runs. So again, this is not a real environment, so not a lot of things are changing, obviously. But in a real environment, like Michelle mentioned before, you always have changes. People are leaving, accounts are being granted different types of privileges. There's a lot of things going on in the identity space, and you will be able to see different types of behaviors over time. So I can see that I have 8 findings, 8 affected objects. Let's click and view them. So it will show me, will return basically the different types of objects that have been identified with this vulnerability. So in this case, we can see the distinguished name of those privileged users. We can see some information on what is their current password policy, and we can investigate that. So when we're looking at these findings, we should be able to first review them. Sometimes we're not even aware of all the things that are happening in our environment. So we should review them, and we should see whether there's something here that needs attention, needs fixing, needs some different types of policy to be applied to it. Or in cases where something is considered an accepted risk or a let's say a false positive, you can fine tune your results to make sure that you're not alerted for this object in the future. So let's say I will choose this object, this distinguished name, and I will click here, go to exclusion list, and I have some history here. Basically create an exclusion rule to kind of exclude this distinguished name from this indicator. So I would choose the distinguished name as an attribute. This is what we're focusing on right now, and it uses different types of regex operators, so you can create different types of conditions. In this case, it's a simple one. Just ignore this distinguished name, and you should probably end some comment on why you're excluding this. This is something that helps kind of tracking it and auditing it in the future. And I would just click add to exclusion list, and the rule will be added. So once the indicator runs again, whether it's a scheduled run every hour or whether I go here and run it manually, we will see that this object, I have an example here, is flagged as ignored equals true. And that can potentially both affect my score and make sure that I'm only focusing on the things that I really want to fix and take care of. So let's go back one step back. So we really dive deep into the detailed view of every vulnerability, how I research it, how I understand it, how do I see what it impacts. And let's just go back to the dashboard, back to the directory overview. Like we said, I can see here all of the different high-level insights about every directory. I can also download a report per directory, basically per forest or per Entra tenant. Let me try and do that now. Again, those of you who are familiar with Purple Night and with its very much loved report, so it's the same look and feel. Let me quickly, I don't think you are able to see that, right? Can you see that in the screen right now, the report?
No, we're not able to see it.
Oh, okay. So I will show it at the end. It's just a different screen. That's why I will show how the report looks. Let's go to the security posture overview. So if in the directory overview, we saw the security posture insights separately per directory, in the security posture overview, we see the full information kind of aggregated. So the first thing that pops up is the score. So if I have several directories connected, I will typically see the one that scores the lowest. So in my case, it's the DO1 lab has the lowest score, and the Entra tenant has, Fabricam has 56. That's the lowest one. and those probably require the most urgent attention from my end. And the current exposures is basically my to-do list. That's my action items, the most critical issues that are affecting my environment. So we can see all of the issues that have been detected here, and they're sorted by severity across all of the directories. If I want to focus just on one, I can obviously apply some filters. Let's choose my favorite forest, the DO1. This is showing me all of the exposures that have been detected in this forest, starting from critical, going down to high, to medium, to low, and down to the informational ones. And we can see obviously the name of every exposure. And if I click on it, I can see more information. And I can also see the detected since value. This is very valuable. So let's say, for example, if you're reviewing your score trend in this view, and you can see that, let's say, over the past week or month, something really changed, your score dropped all of a sudden, you can go back here to this list, filter it by the detected since kind of timestamp, and understand what happened in your environment, what new vulnerabilities were introduced in specific time ranges. And again, this helps you track and understand and get more insights into what is changing in your environment and how your security posture is affected by it. Another thing that's really important to mention that you can see here is the recently added indicators. So we have at Semperis, we have our own security research team that is authoring all these different types of security detections based on threat research that they're doing. And we're releasing new indicators on a monthly basis. So every month you will see new things added, looking both into AD and Entra. And from time to time, there is a new vulnerability out there. Like very recently, we had the bet successive vulnerability that just made the headlines. We released an indicator that checks for that very, very quickly, so customers can benefit from understanding whether they're vulnerable or not. So in this window, you will be able to see all the different indicators that we're adding on a constant basis and what are the new ones that have been recently added. So you can go click on them, understand what they're looking at, and the most important one, see if you're vulnerable or not. So in this case, yes, this environment is. Another thing that we're showing here is some status about indicators that are reporting errors. These are indicators that were not able to complete their assessment. It could be due to issues like permissions that are missing, or sometimes a bug in the indicator that we love to get reports on, or something in the configuration of your environment. And it's important to be aware of that, because if an indicator was not able to kind of report a result and complete its scan, you're essentially not covered for this issue. And this way you can just quickly get visibility into that, click on it, and see what's going on. So I have this indicator that's looking at the FGPP policy and it's failing to run, meaning it was not able to complete the assessment. And if I click on it and I look at the result summary here, I see that this is due to permissions. So I can grant it permissions and I can fix this issue and hopefully have this look into what it needs to look in my environment. And going back to the dashboard, finally, the one thing we didn't really touch on is the collector agent that we're installing in on-prem AD to be able to get results to the Lightning Cloud platform. So like I said before, the installation just requires a machine connected to the domain. You would install one collector for every forest that you want to scan. And this just shows you the status of whether it's connected, meaning everything is up, everything's working, data is being updated, or if it's disconnected. So in this case, I have one environment where the collector is disconnected. We've seen it before with a red banner that popped up, and it's been like that for since the past day. So I can kind of track that, and if something is down, the machine is down, or if something is wrong, I can take care of it. Another nice thing that I want to show you is how you can set notifications instead of just staring at the screen. I know it's pretty, but instead of staring at it all day, you want to be alerted the moment something is happening. So you would go here to notifications and create a notification policy for what you want to be alerted on. So let's say exposures, medium and up. Yeah, I couldn't find a better name. So I would select a threshold. My threshold is medium. I want to be notified about medium, high, and critical vulnerabilities when they're detected. So I want to be alerted when an indicator changes its result from whatever it was before into IOE found, meaning an exposure was detected. Whether it was green and it now turned red, or whether I had, like in our example of the privileged users with a weak password policy, the indicator found 8 users, and let's say over time that list grew into 20 users, I want to know about that change. So I would also trigger for some new affected objects that are being detected. And obviously I would enter here my email or several emails that I want this notification to go to, and I will get a detailed summary to my email of the vulnerability details, of the score, of everything. I can also get notifications about issues where an indicator is failing to run for some reason, or when it's changing from a bad result into a good result, basically something was fixed. Some customers also like to kind of track that and report that to certain people. So that is how you would work with Lightning on a very basic level, kind of understanding where you are, how it looks, how your security posture is across the different directories, and what are the most top critical issues that you need to focus on. I would just like to very, very briefly touch on kind of the onboarding experience, or how you would connect the different forest or tenants. So the process is very, very simple, and it's really guided through the platform. So you would go here into add new directory, whether it's an AD forest or an Entra tenant. If it's an Entra tenant, you would just copy here your Entra tenant ID, and it will prompt you for a Microsoft consent form to the different types of permissions, read permissions that the security indicators for Entra require to basically perform the checks that they're doing. And for AD, like I said, we have the collector installation. So you would give some kind of display name to your collector, which will show next to your forest. Let's say we'll call it Tammy Forest. And in the next step, that's where you download the installer. That's where you download a certificate that will be required by the installer. And it's basically a next installation, and that's it. So I think that's it. I will stop the share, and I will, if we have some time, I will share again the report. I think it's also very nice to see it.
Hey, Tammy, I just want to point out, make sure that they all understand the collector does not require installation on a domain controller. I know for many of us, that could be problematic, adding an additional agent, collector, whatever it's called. So just want to make sure that they understand that it just has to be a device that can actually read Active Directory in there. It's connected to the Active Directory and can read AD back and forth.
Right. I see a lot of questions coming in, so please keep those coming and we'll get those to the end. Right now, we're going to do a quick poll. We'd love to know, based on what you've seen, we'd love to get some feedback on which features are most compelling. So we're going to make you pick one here, but we'll likely follow up with a survey as well to gather more feedback, because we'd love to know which of these capabilities are most compelling for you. So we'll give you all a few minutes to work through those, and then after that we're going to go right into the Q&A. So again, keep those questions coming. We'll work through those. We've got plenty of time, I believe, to answer the questions, but anything we don't get to, we will send you a consolidated list of the questions and the answers to those questions via email following the web seminar. So, and feel free also, any questions you want to ask James about his experience with implementing Lightning Intelligence in customer environments, and any questions for Tammy about how the product works and how it might evolve over time too. We're open to those. All right, we'll close the poll down. Thanks for your feedback on that. And yeah, it looks like the main feature here, or the main capability that everyone's interested, of course, is just moving from that point of time assessment to continuous automated scanning.
I was
So that,
hoping that was going to be the answer,
yeah,
the
yeah,
major vote, right?
yeah,
Because the main thing is main thing in that case.
yeah, great. So let's move to the Q&A. So the first is the cost associated with Lightning Intelligence. So it is $10 per user is the base price. And so here's one. How does a customer with a tiny team or a team of one manage all this? Are there any tools that allow automated triage of detections and remediating, et cetera? So we do have an answer for this, and it's our Directory Services Protector product, and that does continuous scanning, but it's one of the few, if only, products on the market that automatically remediates unwanted changes, malicious changes. So I'm going to ask James, as he's done a lot of demos of DSP, to kind of go through the main points of DSP and how he's seen that help customers who want to automatically roll back unwanted changes. And this doesn't have to be a malicious change, it can simply be an unwanted change. Let's say someone on the team inadvertently deleted a group with, storage group or something. We definitely saw that in a customer once, and you need to undo that very, very quickly, or chaos will reign. That's something that DSP does too. So I'll turn it over to James, and he can talk a little bit about those capabilities.
Yeah, sure. So, Michelle, specifically to something like what you just referred to, that's like an object level change that does affect the security posture for the environment. Not necessarily the score, but how secure your environment may or may not be. In our Directory Services Protector product, we can see all of the changes that are happening when they replicate across Active Directory. That product does use an agent that must be deployed to the domain controller, and it looks at everything that is occurring with replication. And so, an object level change, be it a group, a DNS change, a group policy change, we're able to see all of those types of occurrences. And I'll give you a practical example. It's 3 in the morning. There's a threat actor that has been dwelling in your environment and you weren't aware, or maybe you didn't see the notification that let you know that there may be something happening. There was a change. And now this threat actor has leveraged your domain controller and starts uh, joining the privileged groups. Or maybe they join your domain admins group, or they join your enterprise admins group and start kicking you out. Directory Services Protector has what we call notification, alert and response rules, rather. You can have a rule that when that type of change happens to a group object, a privileged group object, that it will revert that change. So that threat actor that joined your group and started to kick you out, because they are also looking to leverage replication, and our agent looks at everything that happens in the replication stream, that alert and response rule will then you can create one that will kick them out and add you back to that group. So those are the types of things that Directory Services Protector can do. It also does all of the security scanning.
Mhm.
So maybe someone changed an admin's password. Not only will you get an alert, but DSP also allows you to revert that type of password change. So there's a lot of functionality that we have, uh, not necessarily in Lightning today. I know that, and Tammy, you can speak more to what our future is, but with DSP, it does allow a lot of the management. And I think that was Mahesh that asked those questions. It does allow some of the management to help resolve changes that are occurring in your environment that are unwanted.
Yeah.
Um,
That's great. There's also a question about AI capabilities. We are using AI in a very unique way at Semperis in combination with our knowledge of how identity attacks work and the knowledge that we get from the replication stream, as James mentioned, especially to identify attack patterns. Some attack patterns, like password spray, are well recognized, but they're still tricky to catch. And that's a place where the AI capabilities come in. So we've got a whole set of capabilities within DSP in a module called Identity Runtime Protection that scans for those attack patterns and uses AI to basically cut the time that it takes to understand the attack pattern and understand whether it's an actual attack. So we can provide more information about that too. Let's see, how does the product licensing work? Is there a minimum entry tier or purchase requirement? Lightning Intelligence is targeted to organizations of all sizes. We are very interested in getting smaller and mid-sized organizations to adopt Lightning Intelligence as well. So, Tammy, anything you want to add about that?
Yeah, so basically we're I saw some questions here also about an MSP license.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, so we are kind of working into those two directions, both the smaller to medium license markets, and also kind of partners and MSPs that can offer that to their end customers. We are focusing now on building some of the RBAC capabilities, building RBAC capabilities into the product to basically allow that level of control for MSPs. And as for minimum entry in terms of number of users, I'm not sure honestly what's the what's the minimum. We can check on that.
Yeah.
I've seen as small as uh, I think we recently had a customer that had 200 users.
Mm-hmm.
So that might be helpful.
That's great. Is there any way for a team to track who might be working to address a specific finding within Lightning? So, Tammy, that would be, kind of setting up a plan for addressing the indicators or the vulnerabilities.
Yeah, kind of assigning them to somebody. It's something that we have on our roadmap, not something that we have right now. But yeah, introducing some more automations, workflows, assignments, things that we're kind of toying with right now.
Great. And James, I think you answered this question. What permissions level of elevated access does Lightning Intelligence require on the domain?
Yeah. So if you're looking for your on-prem, it's essentially just like read access to the to AD. And Tammy, you correct me if I'm misspeaking on that, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Just like Purple Knight.
The installation is just like a local admin to install the collector service. But yeah, for that it's just
Right.
read.
Yes, and we will have the recording available afterward. And the $10 per user is the number of users in your environment. So that's the way all of our identity products are priced. So it would be per identity. And currently, there's another question about Okta. Currently, Lightning Intelligence covers AD and Entra ID. And Tammy, do you want to give any insight on Okta plans?
Yeah, so our intention going forward with Lightning is to expand into more identity providers and later on also into different types of applications. Like we're doing some research on Salesforce vulnerabilities and things like that. Okta is up next on our roadmap. It is already in Purple Knight for those of you who know Purple Knight, and it will be coming to Lightning as well.
Great. Well, that looks like most of the questions now. The price per user is on an annual basis. I saw a few questions about that. So I think those are all the questions right now. Any other closing comments, James, from you? And then we'll ask Tammy to close us out. Really appreciate everyone's time today. So, James, any other parting thoughts about Lightning Intelligence and how you've seen it help users improve security in their environments?
Yeah. So I think from the poll, most people understand that uh, having access to Purple Night is great because it does give you a snapshot, but the continual monitoring of your directories is critically important. And so just having that is has helped a lot of our customers. And then also with Lightning, many of our smaller customers who have only Entra ID tenants and they've migrated fully off of AD, you're able to use our product to scan your tenant instead of requiring like some of our like DSP does require that you have on-premise Active Directory. But with this product, you're able to add specifically your Entra tenant, and I think that's very valuable, especially for smaller organizations or organizations who are looking to migrate off of their on-prem AD.
That's a great point. Tammy?
Yeah, so thanks. I first want to thank everybody also for participating in the polls and providing your feedback. And I saw this question, last question pop up about a trial period. And actually, we will be offering trials, free trials of Lightning quite soon. So it'll be a great opportunity to try out the product on your own and see that you're generating the value from it and hopefully, help you adopt it.
Great. That, I think, wraps it up for today. Again, as Tammy said, thanks to everybody for your participation and your feedback. We really appreciate that. We'll send a follow-up email with additional survey questions, and we encourage you to reach out when you get this email. If you have any additional questions, we can connect you with the team, get you scheduled for a demo with James or someone else on the solutions architect team. And again, we just look forward to hearing your feedback and helping you make your AD and Entra ID environments more secure. So thanks again, and everyone have a fantastic day. We appreciate it.